So tonight we've got Rich Hildebrand from Shellbrook. Is going to do our demonstration tonight. Rich has been coming out to Shell Lake for a number of years with the carvers. And so tonight he's going to show you how he does the fan-tailed birds that you see up there. So, Rich, go ahead.
Okay.
There he is.
Gary.
Gary, turn around. Oh, I won.
You won.
All right, thanks, Paul, for inviting me. When I think of what I do compared to what some of you guys do with all your fancy and intricate woodworking, this is pretty basic stuff. An actual fan carving, I guess it's probably.
Mask off. I'm sure it's okay.
Sure.
I can't hear you.
Okay, is that better?
That's better.
That better? Okay. So I think with the fan carving, I started probably about 2008, 2009 is when there was an article in one of the carving magazines back then, I'm sure I probably have the magazine at home someplace in my safe place, and with all the other piles of magazines I keep. And it was just something I had been doing I do a lot of different woodworking stuff, but and I'd been got into more of the detailed birds and stuff like that is what I had been usually doing at that time. Then I kind of got away from it, lost one of those, you go through those periods sometimes where you don't feel like doing it kind of thing. And so I was trying to get back into it, and I saw that in the magazine, and I thought, man, how the heck do they do that? And so it was just something that that's how I kind of got into it. And I just basically read the article, and from there there was the author of it was David Nye out of Fenville, Michigan, and I think even there was a contact name or a number in there, and I actually phoned him up, and they had printed a book, so I ordered the book from him, and yeah, him and his wife both do it, and one does paint, the slicing, I guess, would you call it, and the other one does, they're both involved with it, and that's how I got involved and talked to them, and they were like your long lost friends. Like, it was just amazing. So I'll just go a little bit of history. Fan carving, it started back apparently back in Russia, is where it originally started, and then it went for the Scandinavian, European countries, and it sounds like, and this is basically basing it on what David and Sally wrote about in their research, and it was something that was done sounds like most of the time it was like through people that were working in the lumber industry, and also soldiers that were in their kind of downtime, and then that's what kind of they would do. They had some downtime, they started making stuff like that, and that's how apparently this all started way back in the day. And apparently it was brought over they believe, to the U.S. And America because through the lumber industry, and that's passed on that way. But I guess over the years it kind of lost its way. It was kind of something that was done a lot apparently in Europe, and but it's kind of apparently lost its kind of just its art, or folk art, I guess, is really what it is. And so and a lot of times apparently a lot of the carvings were done like a dove or a bird of some sort, and it was always kind of there was a lot of symbolism with it, and a lot of religious symbols with it. And a lot of times it was considered like a bird of peace, or the Holy Ghost, or and that's kind of was represented that way. And so and it was generally always apparently was always something to do with happiness and good health and things like that. And so the woods that were used were generally, it sounded like spruce and pine, and some of the long fiber woods to do that. And the stuff that I generally have used is actually white cedar, and I've ordered it from Dave and Sally and I in Michigan, and they ship it up to me. So I've used a lot of our local woods too. I've got some just some jack pine. I have tried spruce. I've tried some aspen. I've tried carigana even. You can all kind of make it work sometimes, you know. Some stuff it works a lot better than others, but I would say the stuff that I've used with the jack pine, a lot of times for a local wood, works quite well. Spruce worked okay, but it's so sticky and it's not. I just didn't find it very good to, just as far as handling it and stuff was concerned. So, so basically, when you start, what I start off with, that's the end result. So from there, this is what it usually, all those just about pretty well start with this, with basically a 3-inch wide, 2.5 inch wide by 5 to 6 inches long, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inches. That's what every one of those comes from. And you don't do this with dry wood. It's done with wet wood. So just like a green stick. So when a lot of times when I'll be cutting it, you can see the water moving in front of your blade of your knife. That's how wet it is. All right? And most of it is probably the best. This stuff here is the sapwood. So it's just on the inside of the bark. So if this would be your stump, this depth, and then it's just on the inside of the bark. And so like the round part, and this comes just on the inside of the bark. And then if you're doing your own, which I've done, this is where the jack pine came from. So all you really do is when you got your your stump chunk this thick, then you score the bark, or a lot of times I've taken the bark right off, and then I'll just score it. All you have to do is score it with a knife. Just get a straight line, go down the side, and then you do a little bit on the top, and take a mallet and a screwdriver or whatever, and just punch it, and this stuff, it'll just peel off. The first one out of a round stump or a stump, the first ones would be the toughest, and after that you just go on to around, you keep going around and around until you get a bunch of blanks from one round piece of stump. And you want straight grain wood preferably. You want it quite moist. Like fresh green cut trees work fantastic. Neighbors don't appreciate it if you cut them down though. Right? So go find some place. But I mean, a lot of times you get a windstorm or whatever, it can work too. I've done it. Works really well. I've done some where I thought the aspen were these beautiful, tall, straight trees, and I thought, man, that'll work. Just like, didn't work. It was the grain twisted in the wind, I guess, and so you could not do it at all. It just didn't work. So from there, I usually do some basic measurements, markings, and stuff like that. And then from there, I carve out a profile like this. And I don't know, if you can see that, that's the end grain like that. And so that's what the inside view. So basically, they call this basically an interlock. Can you see it from there, you guys? Right in here is the interlock, and here's what they call the hinge. And so you're narrowing it down to the hinge part. Here is about 1/8 of an inch is where I would end off from going to. And then here it's just it doesn't really matter. But the only thing I've found that the deeper you make this, also then the closer you can get your little blades together as well. If you keep it too far apart, then all at once you're going to find that you have too many blades for what you're trying to do. And so when you do this, so the narrow you can get in here, but you have to be careful, because when I'm doing this, I usually have to leave it to the 1/8 of an inch here, just because for some strength. All right. Has anybody tried this at all from way back when they did that carving magazine? Okay. It's not just a bunch of popsicle sticks. All right. Like most people, when they see it, they think that that's all been glued onto each one, but it's not. That's one piece of wood. So then from there, what I'll do is then, so from this side here, I would draw out a profile, let's say of a hummingbird or a goose or whatever. I'll draw it from the side here, and then from this part here, a lot of times I'll just take a little saw and I'll cut out this corner instead of carving off, and you can use these little pieces make a flower or something like that, or some other little thing. So from there, so I've got basically those two stages there. And the other thing is, like, I'll just keep these when the knives send it to me, they send it to me in a box. It's been frozen. And I've had it come, it's still frozen, like, by the time they get it here. So from there, then I will just land up. So that would be the profile. I would just cut out from that square like that. And then I might do a little bit of basic carving here from the head kind of thing, just to get a bit of a shape for it sometimes. And then from there, and you can make different grooves in here for designs, or you can drill a hole in here, just to add some different stuff. I've stuck to pretty basic stuff really in overall. And then from there, then I will land up slicing it. And so, and that's really once you've done that, so then it just basically, I'll have these will be sliced. And so if you can see, this is all, you can see the slices there. Well, they call it writhing, I guess, for the fancy. I call it slicing. so just this, and the white cedar works really, really well. This particular piece, I forgot I'd started it and I'd left it in my shop, and this is probably a year old, and I'd kept it in a bag, and so it was starting to turn a little bit dark and stuff like that. If you had done that with pine or spruce like that, it would be completely full of black mold or green. Completely, it doesn't take long. I had these pieces here, and I just cut it for a few days and had it in the bag, and already the mold was growing. And with the white cedar, it's amazing. It'll do some, but not. But like I said, this thing was about a year old, so, and it tends to lose its flexibility, I guess, even when it's wet. So if that happens a lot of times, if this dries out while I'm working with it, just keep wetting it and that kind of thing. And so just add some water, or if I can't finish it, I'll just throw it in the egg, dump some water in it, and carry on. And if you can't for a while, then throw it in the freezer. My wife told me just yesterday, you need to buy yourself a freezer. That's permission, sounds like to me. Okay, so from there, and what I can do is I'll just pass it around. You can feel how wet that is. I'll just start from the back end, and this one can go this way, and you can just feel how wet it is. Ouch. Well, ow. Well, if you weren't deaf, you are now. Okay. So then from there, and like I said, for example, like the lady, got some lady carvings there, and it's just really all of this, the shape of this part is what I would be slicing. This is just a dried out piece, but you can shape it to whatever you want to do, and on those to do that part. So, sorry?
Have you ever added alcohol to your water to keep it from molding?
Nope. Well, I haven't.
It works well.
Oh, okay. No, I don't drink it. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just show you from there. I've got my little portable device that I use. Let's see. So I got everything I wanted to tell you guys. Okay, I think so. So when I'm doing it, when I first started doing this, I didn't have a draw knife, which I bought from, it's a flex cut knife, so it's top quality stuff. Not according to other wood carvers. But it works really, really well. So this is a flex cut. It's a 3-inch blade, I think it is, and it's very thin, and it's only beveled on one side. But when I first started to do this, after I read that magazine, I used your $1 or $2 utility knife that's beveled on both sides with the flexible break-off blade, and that's what I used to start with. And I did that for a long time till I actually figured out how to do it without cutting them all off. Because it took a little knacking, a little time for a knack to get it right, but it works. It worked, and I finally figured it out. I mean, and you do it thin enough, you cut off a few, so what? Nobody will ever know. So from there, because the fibers are running this way, and it actually really, all you actually are doing is separating the fibers. And so as long as you keep your knife straight, it'll just slide down in between and kind of separates them. So it definitely helps if your knife's sharp. So I'll just do a quick demo here, and
So why is a single bevel better than both sides?
basically to keep it straight. Yeah, and and as long as I keep the flat edge up against here, keeps me from doing a little bit of the twisting. Okay, and like I said, I tried that one piece that one time with that aspen, and it had a twist in it. No matter what I did, and I could try as hard as I want, and it would just do that. It just would not work. And so you just got a whole bunch of fancy kindling. Okay, so I will do this. I need these things. And really, so all like with this, I've got this one started. First few, usually a lot of times you'll end up messing up. So these are roughly 1/16 of an inch for old school guys and 1.5 millimeters. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so then really all I'm doing is, so then I'll just kind of landmark it like that. You guys can see that on the screen. And then it's and I just do it right up to that hinge down in the bottom here. And you can get them nice and thin, like that one's a little bit too thin. Yep. Any questions?
So what happens when you hit the vise with your knife?
If this was metal, not good. This is plastic, so. Yep.